How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This figure unboxing is going to be of the Storm Collectibles, the King of Fighters 98 Kyo Kusanagi. It's a big box. Let me just get that out of the way. The first Storm Collectibles unboxing I did was of the Sagat one from Ultra Street Fighter 2. That's a big character. That's a big figure as well. This guy, not as big. You can see that straight away. But really oversized packaging. I think they could have done better straight away in terms of size. Now, it does come with quite a few different option parts. You can see over here 3 different heads, which is pretty awesome. In the back, you can see there's an effect part, which, according to the box, and just I'm gonna go by the box, it's not for him, it's for Rugo instead. But let's carry on talking about the packaging. So you got a nice big window display. Got a picture of Kyo as well from Shinkiro is the artist, main artist for the King of Fighters stuff, or was. Now he's with Capcom. Pretty cool artwork. I'm gonna assume this is the actual KOF98 artwork. I'm not well versed in KOF stuff as I am with, say, the Street Fighter stuff. So let's just go with it anyway. Full artwork of that same character, which is really cool. I really like Shinkiro's artwork, honestly. I think it's pretty awesome. Apart from that weird Fortnite one that just came out of Ryu, right? That was a bit weird. On the back, then you got some pictures of the figure in some poses. So yeah, kind of iconic kind of moves that he's got as well. So I guess he does come with these parts too. Yeah, it looks okay from there, but we'll see when we actually unpack it. Key stats on the figure, himself. Then on the side, same kind of artwork but with red. On the bottom there is just a logo, and on top, same again, the logo. So let's get this thing open. The inlay for the packaging is also one of the stage artworks, so you can take that out and use it as a backdrop if you wanted to. And here's Kyo out of the box, and you can see he's got a fair bit of parts to him, and some of his effect parts are pretty large. By the way, if you can hear some rain, apologies, it's just British weather for you. Let's go with the parts first, and then we'll go into the figure. So you get a stand. This stand's a little bit different. This is only my second Storm figure, so I don't really know their typical kind of stands. So this one comes with a circular small base, and then segmented shaft like this on ratchets. Weirdly, it's got screws on them, on the sides, not always the same side. But I can't screw them. There's like a plastic cap over them, and I don't know how to take them off. So if you know how to take them off, let me know in the comments, because that would be ideal to try and, tighten them if it gets loose. But yeah, I just don't know how to do it. There's a claw piece as well that has similar screws that I don't have access to, and then that's attached right there. I already put this onto the base. You get 2 little bits like so, these bits here, and one side plugs into the base, into the shaft where the claw is, and the other goes into the flame effect piece, which I show later. They gave 2, I guess maybe in case one breaks. Let's just stand out the way. Then onto the hands. So you get 1 pair, which is just open palm hands, spread fingers. Now his fingers or hands in general are a little bit meaty, I guess. Storm Collectible stuff tends to be a bit more buff compared to, say, normal character designs that you might be used to. For something like Street Fighter 5 characters, that makes sense. For Kyo, I think he's a little bit buff, but we'll get into that later. But you can see he's got the glove details there with the gold kind of strap going around them, and then the exposed fingers. Then you get ones for gripping. So these will actually hold on to one of the flame effects, which is pretty good. So either hand can hold the flame. So again, it's got the black gloves with the gold. So I'll show you holding the flame effect right here. So here's a look at the flame. Pretty basic for the most part. And you can kind of position this in most ways. So you can see the 4 bits protruding out. Just kind of sit it in so it sticks out of the middle of his fingers there. And then the thumb bit area there. And then he's holding onto the flame. You can do the same thing with the other hand. So it's a cool piece that they've given. I kind of would have preferred it if it was kind of a wrap around the entire hand, but it still works. Then for the final pair of hands is a finger pointing one, both exactly the same. Sometimes some manufacturers only give you, say, the right hand or left hand. They've given you a pair, which is nice. Again, with the black gloves and the gold. And this, you can use the tiny flame effect piece, here it is, and just attach it to the end of the fingertip, like so. And then he's got a lit up finger. This is a really cool hand, and with this flame piece, it looks very cool. Get some cool poses out of it. I'm a big fan of this hand and the effects pieces there. So those are the hands. Onto the heads. It comes with a nice set of heads. So the default one there, you can see decent. It's decent. We'll get into that one a bit more later. Then the additional one is one with a smirk. This is probably one of my favorite heads for this figure. I love the way this expression looks. It's kind of got that arrogant-ish look, but not fully arrogant, if that makes sense. I really like what's going on with this head sculpt. It's really cool. The flesh tones look pretty good as well. Some of the heads, he's got a little bit more of, say, a bit of a 5 o'clock shadow, you might call it, on the chin. The default face has that more than this one does. But yeah, I like this head, and the hair looks pretty good as well. The hair, you can take the bangs off for each of the heads like so, and then he ends up looking like he's got a slicked back hair. But I like this look overall. This kind of gives you a better picture of it. Bandana on as well. But yeah, this is one of my favorite heads for this figure, I have to say. Really, really cool. The actual hair is the same. That's already on the default one. The next head then is going to be one where he's gritting his teeth. So this is going to be full on action as he's doing attacks, coming out of attacks, guarding, so and so on and so forth. And then the slight difference you can see as well with the fringe. So that kind of sways to one side as well, which is nice. Really cool effect. The other alternate head at the back over there, that fringe is the same as this. So you get two fringes like this, and then two that are already I've covered before. So really cool. Again, you can take this off. So give you a closer look at his head. Plus he's got the brown eyes as well. So eyes are slightly different on some of them. This one isn't my best or most liked face, but it's necessary to include. It's okay. Then finally, you get one with open mouth. So again, battle poses, attacks, things like that. And with the fringe on the left, swaying to the right even. And then you can take that off too, like so. So generally, in terms of flesh tone and overall scope, quite similar. But this is easily my favorite head for this figure. Kyo comes with an additional jacket or overcoat, uniform, however you want to call it. So the one that's already attached to him, you can see kind of just sits neatly, whereas the additional one they give is a little bit swayed, so he lifts up just a little bit there. I'll show you how to swap this later on in the video, but it's cool that they added it in. You could have done this as a cloth piece or something like that with wires or something to kind of let you do that yourself, but they've given you a complete separate jacket, and it has the Kusanagi, Kyo Kusanagi, right? So it has a Kusanagi emblem on the back. I believe that's a Kusanagi emblem. So pretty cool looking as well. So I should have got this piece out of the way in the beginning, because this one actually belongs to Rugal and is part of his gravity smash effect. So actually they give you a pamphlet that explains it. So you get one section of that gravity smash effect piece with Kyo, you get another one with Iori, and then another with Terry, and then another finally with Omega Rugal, and then you combine them all, and then you get a massive sphere. So that's pretty good, but it's large, and I'm not going to get the others. Before I get into the other effect parts, I did forget to mention, you get a little color pamphlet similar to, well, black and white on the inside, but similar to what Sagat came with, so I'm going to assume this is pretty normal for the Storm Collectibles figures. Finishing off with the effect parts then, so you get one piece like so, which you can use for, say, his fireball attack, things like that. Long string of flame. It's an okay piece, you know, it looks okay. You need to put the peg bit I mentioned on the stand right here. It's okay. It's not perfect. You might be able to get some use out of it, maybe limited use. You can use it for other figures for sure though, so it's okay. It's quite large. Then you get one piece which actually does wrap around his wrist. Now this is for when he's going to do his Dragon Punch type of motion attack, or coming out of that type of motion. So when he's in the air, basically this wraps around. You can see here, you would have to feed his wrist through there and sandwich it in, which I will show you. This is quite heavy, so when it does sit on his arm, it brings his arm down a bit, and over time I can see this becoming a larger issue as the arm joints kind of wear out a bit. But overall, it's got a similar sort of paint job or tone and sculptor mode as the previous flame effect that I showed, and that's going to have the same, which we'll get into right now actually. So before we get into the figure, I might as well show you this flame effect piece here. So as I had him in a pose, classic pose of Shinkiro's artwork. So this is one that wraps around his fist neatly, easy to do. You just plug his fist right in there. You can see his arm hanging. So again, same sort of color going on there. So now onto the figure then, so I can get in a bit closer and sit more comfortably. So Kyo is a pretty basic looking design, but honestly I really like this design. It's a really iconic design, especially if you're into fighting games. You should ideally know what this character is, have a vague familiarity with him. I think Kyo and Terry you kind of just know, right? So I really, actually, you know what? I take that back because so many people didn't know who Terry was. Young Smash players, I guess. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, Kyo, I love the way that his classic outfit looks. So, you know, you saw in the packaging, this was a King of Fighters 98 based figure. Just because it says that doesn't mean it's always going to be the case, because some manufacturers do not remain consistent. Again, I digress. But anyway, it's King of Fighters 98 or classic Kyo look with his school uniform. And I generally like what's going on with this figure. There's not a huge amount to talk about in terms of looks because it's such a plain figure with the black uniform, but I like it. What I'm just going to get out of the way straight away is what I mentioned earlier, is about how kind of hench Storm Collectibles figures look. So he's a high school student. He should only be around I don't even know, 19, maybe even younger than that, because he's always dropping out or something like that. So at that point, he probably isn't that bulky. His designs aren't that bulky for the most part. Even when he's kind of older, where he's wearing a biker jacket, he's not really that big. So it mostly is apparent with the arms, in my opinion. I just think they don't need to always do hench figures. Something like Street Fighter 5 makes sense. That's the way the art direction was for that game. King of Fighters, he doesn't need to be this big. He doesn't need to be... Yeah, he just doesn't need to be. Anyway, in terms of other design-wise then, really cool. Love the jacket. I love the detail that they've got with the overcoat here, which I'll show you how to remove, and then a waistcoat underneath. And this is made of rubber and it looks really nice. Really, really nice. I don't know how it's going to fare over the years or months in terms of temperature change and weather, but I do like this jacket. It's got a rubber very soft rubber kind of top half here. So the jacket plus his chest is soft rubber, similar to what Sagat had before. And it's hard around his stomach area, then hard around the legs, and soft around his crotch and butt area again. So this is a bit that sags a bit. You can kind of see that it sags a bit there. And again, I'm kind of concerned that maybe this might split because it's quite thin over months or years or something. So small concern for me, but it hasn't been an issue at this point in time. But generally, yeah, really nice design, simple looking design. Again, the emblem on the back, love that. Closer look on the gloves as well. These are rubber as well, which I actually didn't realize until just before shooting this video that these do swivel a little bit. There's not swivel, it's just a rubber piece. It's not molded on you. There you go, you can see. I might as well just take it off and show you. It's easier. You can see it comes off. So you can reposition if you need to. I noticed that way too late. So that's pretty cool too. Shoes look nice as well. Some people might say he needs a gold kind of buckle there. Others might say the silver is okay. I'm fine with it, honestly speaking. Overall, the design is pretty good. I think I mentioned earlier as well the shadow on his chin. It's a little bit more on this face. Not awful, but it's still a bit there compared to the other one. This is probably my second best face. Definitely prefer the smirk face. Super good. Same bangs as the other one, and you can indeed take these off like so. Not that you want to, because you end up getting a pretty big hole in his head. So I'm going to put that back on right now. But yeah, spent enough time talking about his design, which is classic. But it's worth talking about because it's a nice design. By the way, he has no belt buckle on this design. Sometimes he does, even in artwork. Sometimes he doesn't. I'd prefer he did. But yeah, let's carry on. With articulation first, then I'll swap some parts out. And then we'll wrap up the video. So, moving up, not that much. Sometimes the back of his collar, or the collar of his jacket can get in the way. So if you want to move it, then sure, go ahead. Looking down, side to side, and twisting, and all of that. Looks really good. Then his shoulders can swing all the way around, up, like so. So it's soft rubber, so it does get away in the way a tiny bit, but actually it's quite good too. You know, there's so many other figures that aren't as good as that, to be quite frank. And it comes out a little bit because you have to remove the arms every time you want to swap the jackets. I have a feeling the arm sockets are going to wear out over time. So I think motions like this, or when you're going to articulate, that's probably going to be a pain later on. For now, it's okay. I can do it. Later on, I expect that to be popping out all the time. You got a little twist here at the bicep, which I overlooked until really, really late. It's super easy to just kind of overlook and assume it's one piece, but it does twist, which is really cool to have. Elbow like so. Aesthetically, I don't like the bends in Storm figures. Like side on, not so great. Angle a bit, it's better. I mentioned the gauntlet already to take it off, and then the hand is pretty standard. Twists, bends. There you go. The hands are kind of like a harder rubber compared to, say, the torso. Similar to, again, Sagat. They're not hard plastic like the usual SH Figuarts or Figma figures. Then for the torso, you can bend and backwards like so. You get a bit of gap. So I'm going to reset him a bit because he's angled. Bending him back. There we go. You still get a gap. You can lean him, twist from the upper bit, twist from the lower bit, and lean as well from the lower bit. So it gives nice kind of articulation and range of motion there. There's no pull down on the legs, which I would have preferred, but maybe your Storm Collectibles don't necessarily do that. No idea. But he can kick up super, super good. So he can do his axe kick, no problem. Doosh really, really nicely. Move it back as well. Getting into his kick pose is pretty simple to do. Got the twist here as well. The knee, I don't like the knee bend. That's about as far as his knee bends, both of them, which is not great in my opinion. Would have preferred a bit better. Let's try a bit more. Yeah, it's about all it goes. The knee bend as well, I hate it from side on. Don't put him side on, it just looks awful. Angle it a bit like that and it looks much better. Obviously the pose is pretty sloppy there, but the knee joint looks much better that way. Again, side on is just pretty awful. Then he's got the usual ankle stuff going on there, limited just a little bit by the cuffs of his pants. And then he's got the toe joint there, like so. So that rounds up his articulation. Pretty basic articulation, but basic is good sometimes. And it works in this guy's favor, to be quite honest. So you get him into a lot of pretty classic poses. So then if you want to swap out the head, by the way, you can take this off and then swap out, say, the fringe for the swaying one. Let's just do that here. If you need to do that, can do that quite easily. And then to swap out the heads, just pull it off, and then I'll put that other one back on without the bangs. So similar to the Sagat one as well, and I'm guessing this is the same for most Storm Collectibles, because it's rubber up top. This sometimes kind of feeds upwards like so, and then doesn't really expose the ball joint there. So just kind of pinch it down, squeeze it down like so, and then try and place the hand, push it on, and it should fit. I don't know, maybe that's just how every figure is. Oh, by the way, so I'm not sure if the shirt is actually just getting a little bit off-white based on me handling it. I mean, I've washed my hands, I've only been handling this figure, so it might be just paint, kind of dry paint rubbing off and then onto his shirt. So just be mindful of that you don't get his clean white shirt dirty. It was probably fine for me, maybe it's because I've got harsh light, but yeah, be mindful of that one. So I've shown you how to do the head, then let's change it. So change his hand, and let's add in that was wrong hand. Let's add in the left one then. So just pull it out. Pretty easy to do. Now because again the hands are a bit rubbery, just be mindful of that, because if you've got really heated up hands or cracks in there, you don't want to damage it permanently. So yeah, be mindful of that one. So that's one hand changed. But then importantly, you want to know how to change his jacket with the swaying one. So just yank off the arms at the shoulders there, like so. Then take off the outer coat, and then you'll see it's exposed with the waistcoat, which is pretty good. You know, you'd expect it to have been just one piece, but it's not. They've given you a separate one. Then just grab the other one and just clothe them on. Put one shoulder in. You might have to kind of play around with this or look carefully. So you can see here mine's a little bit off. So what I sometimes do is I kind of put the arm in there, open his jacket, pop it through, and then just kind of do this, and there, it's back on, and then just fix him up. So there you have the alternate coat replaced, and his glove came off just for me. But yeah, it's pretty easy to do, quite straightforward, but as I mentioned, my concern is the shoulders might wear out over time, hopefully not. And to put on the flame effect that wraps around his fist, so all you got to do is take off one of the hands, can be any hand, and then there goes his glove again. So you just put his glove back on like so, and then you just got to put this in between, feed it through like so, and then just reattach the hand like so. So it's pretty simple to do, but again, it's quite heavy, so eventually kind of weighs the arm down a bit. So certain poses you might want to add a little bit of support, or just not use it and kind of make your own one, or use something else. So it's pretty easy and straightforward. So I've shown you the figure overall and shown you some basics on how to swap the parts, especially his jacket. So let's kind of wrap this video up with just some closing thoughts. And to conclude then, this is a pretty good figure. I do like it. It's not perfect by any means. So the joints, for example, I mentioned. So knee joint is not that great when you bend it, and on profile view, it doesn't look visually appealing. Hopefully they can tweak both the elbows and the knees for future figures to make them a little bit more pleasing to look at in various angles. And then Storm Collectibles in general, why are all their figures so jacked? They don't need to be. Something like Sagat, sure. Some of the other Street Fighter 5 figures, sure. And even some of the KOF figures, fine. But Kyo, why does he need to be jacked? Like, this is supposed to be his classic KOF98 look. Why is he jacked for? There's no need for it. I would way prefer if they slimmed him down a bit and made him just regular. He does not need to be this big. Storm, stop making everyone jacked. Which worries me, because Soul Calibur is something I'm very interested in, one of my favorite games. And they've got that license for that. And if everyone's jacked in that, unnecessarily, you know, Astaroth is one thing, for example, he is jacked. But yeah, just don't make everyone jacked. Come on. And then the other thing, again, across the board with Storm Collectibles, there is no need for the packaging to be that absurd. It's insane. Fix it. It's way too big. I'm trying to save space here. No need for that size of packaging, seriously. But otherwise, it's a decent figure, good to handle, gets into a lot of the poses that you want to get him into. So, for example, a lot of Kyo's movesets, even his later movesets from later King of Fighters games, you can get them into pretty easily. But yeah, if you've got Storm Collectibles, otherwise, you pretty much know what to expect. If you've got other figures, it's, kind of the same, just slightly larger scale. Rubbery on the top torso bit, which is a bit different. Not everyone's used to that. I don't mind it. I think their sculpts are still good. I just think, yeah, Kyo doesn't need to be this big. But generally speaking, yeah, I like this figure. I'm going to keep it for a little bit. Maybe I'll check out some more KOF stuff later on. We'll see. But anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. Stay safe wherever you are, and I'll catch you in the next one.